Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new, and welcome back to another day of Vlogmas. We are on a Vlogmas day 4, and I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited because today I'm sharing with you a really good sounding, I haven't had them yet, but I'm trusting it's really good. Otherwise, this probably won't be Vlogmas day 4, but a cookie recipe for hot chocolate cookies. And when I saw this recipe, I knew I had to try it. Now I'm going to cut the recipe in half because from what I'm reading on the original recipe post, which I will have linked for you in the description box below, it doesn't sound like they're necessarily like able to be refrigerated or frozen for very long. It says for like 2 days, which is not that long when you got only 2 people. So I'm gonna cut the recipe in half, and then if I end up having still a lot of cookies, I will spread the love. But I just wanted to let you know that I will have all of the original stuff in the description box below. But even with that limitation, I felt like the recipe sounded good enough to still try. So that's what we're going to do. I also just wanted to add real quick that this video is part of a collab, and it is hosted by Domestic Diva Cooking. You can check out her information as well as a playlist in the description box, and check out everybody else's Christmas baking treats that they will be sharing with you. So there is bound to be lots of really great recipes. So make sure you check that out. All right, so I'm just getting my hair up. I pretty much always wear my hair up because otherwise you get hair in your food, and I got lots of hair. Anyways, I decided it was time to do the baking because frankly, I've been cold today. And so I needed to turn the oven on because I didn't want it to turn the heat up anymore. So I'm going to preheat the oven to 325, and then I'm going to get all my ingredients ready. All right, guys, so the first thing we're going to start off with is melting some butter and chocolate. And I'm going to do that over medium heat. And my adjusted measurements is a half a stick of unsalted butter and 3/4 cups of chocolate chips, semi-sweets, and we're just going to stir and melt that, and then we're going to take it off the heat and let it cool slightly while we work on everything else. Okay, so now we're going to mix together all of the dry ingredients. I like to sift mine. I just use a mesh strainer just to make sure all of the dry ingredients, there's no clumps or anything. But you don't have to do that. That's just what I'm going to do. The original recipe, again, I'm going to be cutting everything in half, is 1 1/2 cups of flour, 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. No, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just check out the original recipe in the description box below for all of your measurements. All right, so now we are going to mix together. I'm using my hand mixer. The original recipe is 3 eggs, 1 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and 1½ teaspoons of vanilla. And I remember to half everything except for the eggs until just a second ago. So I had 3 eggs in here, and I just kind of scooped out 1½ I guess, and put them in a bowl. I guess I'm gonna have scrambled eggs tomorrow for breakfast. So, all right, let's mix this all up together. All right, so now we're going to add in the cooled chocolate mixture. I'm actually gonna use my spatula real quick though to get rid of a clump in the brown sugar. All right, we're just going to blend this just until combined. And now we're going to add in the flour mixture slowly, and you don't want to overmix this part either. All right, so I'm just covering this dough, and we are going to refrigerate this for at least 1 hour. So I didn't read that part ahead of time, so I guess I didn't need to be preheating the oven, but we're gonna pop this in the fridge and come back to it in about an hour. All right, so it's been just over an hour. We got my cookie sheet lined with my little silicone mat, or you can just use parchment paper. And I've got the dough. It's definitely a thicker dough. It was thicker even before I chilled it, but you want to have about, what does it say? About a tablespoon size. This is a little bit of a smaller cookie scoop, but you're supposed to roll it with your hands anyway after you scoop it. So I'm gonna just scoop it extra big, and we're gonna make these up and then bake it for 12 minutes. All right, as you see, I flattened them, well, I missed one, slightly, and I'm gonna pop them in the oven. This dough is like rolling a ball of fudge. I don't think there's a neat way to do it, but the dough is delicious. So let's see how these come out. While the cookies are in the oven, I've got some large marshmallows, and we're going to cut them in half. It says crosswise, so I'm guessing like to get little triangles, I don't know. I'm not sure what kind of knife to use for cutting marshmallows. All right, so it has been 12 minutes, and I'm gonna take my marshmallows, the cut side down, so like the sticky part, and I guess you just, what does it say, press into the center. So that's what we're doing. All right, now we're gonna put them back into the oven for another 2 to 3 minutes. All right, so we are going to let these cool on the pan for a few minutes, then we'll transfer them to a cooling rack, and then we've got one more step before these beauties are done and ready to eat. It's quite a bit later in the day, but now we're going to make the icing. Honestly, I feel like these cookies could be fine on their own, but we're gonna go ahead and do the icing, and I just put the cooling rack on top of, I just use the same baking sheet with the mat underneath because we do want to have something to catch all of the drips. Once again, we are cutting the icing in half. So I have 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter that has been melted, and we're going to add in the rest. So I'm going to add in 1 cup of powdered sugar. I'm going to add 1/8 of a cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. 1/8 a cup of hot water, and then 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. All right, and very quickly you get this little creamy icing. This seems like a lot for the amount of cookies, but I cut everything in half, so we're just gonna go with it. So you're just supposed to spoon some onto here, smooth it out with a spoon, and then if you want, before the icing hardens it all, you want to sprinkle with some sprinkles. I don't have any sprinkles, so we're going to skip that. We're just going to put this on top. All right, so it's definitely not like runny enough to like drip, so this wasn't necessarily needed, but no harm in having it. I definitely have some extra icing, but anyway, there they are. I think they look super cute. They'd be cuter, I guess, if you wanted to add some colored sprinkles, but I don't really care about that, and I don't have any on hand, so not too worried about it. I will let you know how they taste. We're supposed to let the icing set for about 30 minutes before serving, so I'm gonna do that. All right, so we have tried the cookies. And what do you think, babe?
Yeah, I've only had one bite, but it had good consistency in the more baked part. And then the marshmallows were a nice little switch in texture. And then on top of that was kind of like a topping that gave it a kind of a creamy feel and a creamy vibe. So it's nice to have 3 different textures at once, creating a nice blend of decadent delight. It's very rich.
So this is the difference between him and I. My answer is I love chocolate and I love marshmallows. This is great.
And I'm not a huge chocolate guy, but these are very good.
But he likes texture, and this one has 3 different ones.
It
And
might require some of this.
he's drinking it with chocolate almond milk. Anyways, I just want to let you know that the recipe was a hit for us. We really liked it, so I recommend you try it. The recipe is linked in the description box. And if you're new here, you could subscribe because now you've met him and see what sometimes happens on my channel when he joins me. So, check out the recipe in the description box. Also, don't forget that this video is part of a collaboration. This is what I get for inviting him to join me. He thinks this is just one of our regular vlogs, but it's not, but that's okay. This is part of a collaboration, so check out the playlist in the description box below. He can just go on and on. He won't be fazed. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.